Okay. I'd like to welcome everybody tonight, and we'll begin the meeting actually with a presentation for the Parry Sound Stingers basketball team under 17. And so I'll move to the front there. So on behalf of council, the Stingers basketball team, I want to congratulate you on your victory and a gold medal. So we'll start with a round of applause. When things like this happen in our community, we like to acknowledge good things and make sure that they're recognized. So we have certificates for each one of you. Microphone. So I guess I'll try to do a quick synopsis. When great things happen in our community, we like to recognize that those that have done those deeds and make sure that they are recognized. So we have certificates for each one of the members of the team, plus the coaches. And basically, there's a certificate that says the members of council for the town of Parry Sound extend recognition and congratulations to, in this particular case, it's Tori Bush, on being part of the Parry Sound Stingers under 17 basketball team that won gold in Division 3 at the Ontario Cup Provincials. And then there's a letter that goes along. I'm delighted to offer my warmest greetings and congratulations to you on representing Parry Sound on the Stingers basketball under 17 team at the Ontario Cup Provincial Championships in Division 3, which was held in Kitchener on May 5th, 6th, and 7th, 2017 by the Ontario Basketball Association. Competing on this basketball team shows great dedication and commitment to your chosen team sport. Way to go. By all accounts, I hear you played your hearts out, which was excellent. And today I join with your family, friends, and supporters in commending you for your dedication and your enjoyment of basketball. So please accept my best wishes and continued success and fulfillment of this very special time in your life and years to come. So I guess if I could have one of the coaches up, which would be really good. Hi. Nice to meet you. So I guess we can start with Tori. And we'll get you to line up back here because afterwards, our star reporter at the North Star takes pictures of everybody. So, right, Stephanie? The next is Emma. Congratulations. Megan? Oh, Megan Dwyer. You're Megan Dwyer. Okay. Lauren Kennedy. Congratulations. Olivia Ball. Emily Schneider. Congratulations. Nice medals, too. Alexis Nicholas. Justine Kelby. Congratulations. Kiara Henry. Rachel Nicholson. Let's get a shot of you there. There you go. Audra Nicholson. Okay, get ready for Mom. You're welcome. Rin. Ryan, okay, all right. Well, you could have fooled me on that one. I guess you did. It's okay. Congratulations. Caitlin, she's not here. Okay. Then, yeah. If I can get it open, I'll find out who it is. Cameron, okay. So the next one was Cameron Elkin. And this one was Caitlin Kane. Mark Skinner, okay, he's not here. He's a coach, okay. Brian Henry. Brian, come on up. Denise Greenwood George, okay. And last but not least, Bobby Joe Henry. Come on up, Bobby Joe. Thank you. So I think if we can squeeze in, we can get council up here to have a picture taken, and we'll move this out of the way. And just before we go, I just want to say again how proud we are of your achievement, and thank you very much, and you can do it again next year, right? Yeah. All right. Everybody's scrunchy. No. Thank you. Yeah, really. Don't get Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Take care. Oh, my glasses. Hmm? Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So prior to the open session, council met for a closed meeting. It was moved by Councillor Marshall and seconded by Councillor McCann that pursuant to Section 239(2) of the Municipal Act RSO 2001, Chapter 25 as amended, the Council of the Corporation and Town of Parry Sound moved to a meeting closed to the public in order to address matters pertaining to B, personnel matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, a licensing appeal appointment, and C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, request to transfer lease, and D, labor relations or an employee negotiations, performance review, director of emergency and protective services. That was carried and the meeting was held. And next, the agenda. Are there any, oh wait a second, additions or prioritization of the agenda? Seeing none, okay. Mover and seconder for the agenda. Councillor Borneman, Councillor Horn, that the council agenda for June 6, 2017 be approved as circulated. Discussion, all in favor? That's carried. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Councillor Marshall.
Yes, I have a pecuniary interest in items 2.3.1 and 2.3.2 because Cameron Marshall is my second-born son.
Okay. Yeah, she should, actually, Councillor Keith should be back here for this portion of it too. That we're at the disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. Councillor Keith.
7.1, due to employment,
Okay.
I asked to be removed.
Yep. Okay. Mover and seconder for the minutes. Councillor Marshall and Councillor McCann. That the minutes from the council meetings held May 16th and May 30th be approved as circulated. Any discussion on those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Questions of staff? Councillor McCann.
This would be for Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown, I was asked today about some pretty serious potholes on John Street between Gibson and Church, and was wondering if staff is able to fill the holes in, and if anyone does have concerns about major potholes on any of the streets that they live or travel on, if there is anyone that they can do or call to have them looked after.
Mr. Brown?
Through your worship, we're aware of that particular location. We'll probably have our equipment out tomorrow. We've had it out off and on for the last couple of weeks. If there are any concerns that the public has, please let them know to contact the Public Works Department at the Town Hall. We'd be happy to help them out.
Thanks very much.
Any further questions of staff? Councillor Borneman, sorry.
Ms. Mida, I understand that you've negotiated to have a new tenant in this building in the very near future. Do you want to take this opportunity to explain to the public what's about to happen?
Through Mr. Mayor, I will defer that to the mayor. I think he's going to share a press release as part of his report, if that's okay. All right? Okay.
Any more questions of staff? Seeing none, correspondence, Mr. Mintz? Okay.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, first item from Debbie White, co-founder World Oceans Day, regarding the raising of awareness of World Oceans Day, June 8th, asking Parry Sound to recognize and support the need to protect our water, waterways, and oceans for the life they give us, and offering ways to educate the public on ways to protect our waters. This has been circulated to Mayor and Council, forwarded to the clerk for filing. And from Cheryl Gallant, it's items 4.2A and B, MP for Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke, regarding the removal of the tax-exempt portion of remuneration paid to local officials and the municipality of East Ferris's resolution. East Ferris resolution in support of Ms. Gallant. And this was circulated to Mayor and Council on this evening's agenda as item 8.1 and forwarded to the clerk for filing. Items 4.3A and B from Marlene Bisson regarding questions about the service line warranty program, water and wastewater and tax concerns. And there are recording responses from Ms. Boggs, our clerk, and from Trevor Pinn, our Director of Finance and PO Court Services. This has been circulated to Mayor and Council and the Clerk and Director of Finance, as noted. And from the Parry Sound Friendship Center, there's an invitation to Mayor and Council to attend the 50th anniversary celebration June 17th. Circulated to Mayor and Council, Deputy Mayor Horn will attend this celebration. And we have the AMO Watch File of May 11th. It's the Industry Municipal News for also for May 18th. And that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mintz. We now come to the deputations and presentations portion of tonight's council meeting. I'd like to remind the deputations here tonight that they have a maximum of 10 minutes each, including questions of clarification from council. Deputations are subject to the same rules of conduct as members of council, that no one shall speak disrespectfully or use offensive words or insulting expressions against any member of council, staff, or another member of the public. And please speak clearly into the microphone, leaving about 4 to 6 inches, or keeping about 4 to 6 inches away. All our meetings are webcast now, so they are live and available to anyone that wants to access them off the town's website. So, we had a deputation tonight from Vanessa Backman, which has been now postponed to June 20th. And we had one from Margaret Walton, which there's a Jim McClellan that's here apparently to answer any questions, if need be, about Habitat for Humanity. So, if there is anyone here that wants to speak to council about the Habitat for Humanity project, I would need to know now because I have a notation to read. There is one. So, two more hands. Okay. So what I need to advise you is that the matter is not and will not be on this evening's agenda. Council passed a bylaw approving the rezoning on May 16th, and at this point, any deputation submissions will not affect the passed bylaw. I wish to stress that all requirements regarding public notice of zoning bylaw amendment have been strictly adhered to. The bylaw is currently in the appeal period until June 14th, 2017. And can only be dealt with by the Ontario Municipal Board. The issue of consent application before the Planning Board is the responsibility of the Planning Board, not the town. We do have time, so we do have time available, and again, the matter will not be discussed by council tonight. So, I ask that deputations not be repetitive. So, if you do have something to say, and the next person's going to repeat almost exactly the same thing, that will not happen. I expected it to be something new instead of regurgitating the same thing again. So, we have someone to come up and speak about, to come up to the microphone, make sure the button's on, and state your name and address, if there's anyone that wishes to speak. Welcome.
I'm not going to say very much.
So name and
Oh,
address.
Larry Fleetum,
Yeah.
21 Addy Street.
Okay.
When that was passed, residents, adjacent residents were not notified that was going to council. And I don't know if that's a requirement or not to have it passed.
Mr. Mans?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the short answer is no, it's not a requirement.
Okay.
Any further deputations? Seeing none? Okay, seeing none, then our deputations come to a close. Thank you. Next is council reports. And we'll start with Councillor Marshall tonight.
Always wait for everybody to clear
Yeah,
out.
that's fine.
Yeah. Well, I know how we can clear the room. I give my report first. So, good evening, everyone. On May 25th, I attended a regular meeting of the West Parry Sound District Museum at the West Parry Sound District Museum. And last Wednesday, May 31st, I joined Councillor Borneman on board the Cambrian for a tour of the Parry Sound Harbor and a regular meeting of the Waterfront Advisory Committee. Just a quick reminder, the Open Streets Parry Sound is back on schedule for this Sunday between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. The weather forecast is for the day I checked is a mix of sun and clouds at a high of 26. So let's keep our fingers crossed that we can get it in and we don't get another 20 or 30 millimeters of rain this Sunday. So that's my report.
Thank you. Councillor Borneman? Microphone. Yep.
On May 25th, I attended a meeting of the Downtown Steering Committee. We had a great deal of discussion and angst, I'll say, regarding the letter that council received a couple of weeks ago from Dan D. Nicola. I want to thank our chair, Greg Mason, who did a really masterful job of moving us through those thorny issues that had potential to derail the entire process. May 30th, I had missed the special meeting of council to attend the first meeting of the Seguin River Water Management Plan Advisory Committee as formed by Lakeland Holdings. We have a number of stakeholders representing Wissahickon, Seguin, Mill Lake, and Manitowoc Cottage Associations, as well as McKellar, Whitestone. This group was formed voluntarily by Lakeland with the purpose or the intent of providing members of the public an opportunity to air grievances with respect to water levels. So I give Lakeland credit for having done so. Meeting went on for quite some time, but I think at the end of the evening we had further matters. On May 31st, my mother's birthday, I had to put that in there, she told me. I was with Councillor Marshall. We did have the tour. We heard various updates from staff and reviewed our budget. The DBA met pretty much the same time. And so I missed that meeting, but the board has agreed to work with the steering committee towards the completion of an updated strategic plan. On Saturday, along with Councillor Horn and former Councillor Macaulay, I volunteered at the Bobby Orr Youth Celebration at the Charles W. Stockey Center. As you know, Mr. Mayor, we had a terrific turnout. We hear negatives all the time regarding youth and community, and in general, for that matter. they do this or they don't do that. We see problems in our community. Saturday, we heard a multitude of stories of successes: sports, academics, music, the arts, volunteerism. There are great things being accomplished. So I congratulate all those who were nominated. Parry Sound's a better place for your efforts. I want to thank Cheryl Ward, the Stocky Center staff, Dave Garrigan and his crew, and particularly Mr. Orr for his ongoing commitment to Parry Sound. Yesterday, I spent the majority of the day at the airport. Phase 7 tenders come in well over budget. We've met with the funding agencies, our engineer and the proponents to see what, if anything, can be done to correct that circumstance. And today, Mr. Mayor, is the 73rd anniversary of D-Day, so I would hope that everyone would take a minute and not wait till Remembrance Day to give thanks for the sacrifices made by the young men involved in that venture. I see Miss Hysinga has arrived. I was supposed to ask that item 10.5.1 be moved up. I didn't because I couldn't see her in the back of the basketball crowd.
Okay.
So if we could consider that when we resume, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
All in favor of moving that item up? Okay, it'll be moved up. Okay. Thank you for your report. Councilor McCann?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and council staff and people here in the gallery and those watching online. On Wednesday, May 24th, I attended the monthly board meeting for Belvedere Heights, a number of business items and housekeeping matters, including some financial reports. The future of parking at Belvedere was discussed and deferred to an ad hoc committee previously struck to investigate some possible solutions, and we'll be hearing more about that coming up this year. On Monday, May 29th, I attended the West Parry Sound Health Center municipal meeting, at which we were brought up to date on happenings with the health center, generally on healthcare funding. Special funding through the foundation will provide for electronic health records. Funding will go not only towards the software and hardware required, but also to manpower and training. This is a huge undertaking, and there are some special funds that have been made available for this, and this will put the hospital in line with other hospitals in Southern Ontario. And just like the commercials on TV you may have seen, if you're hit by, if you're in an accident and you end up in an emergency section somewhere, they'll be able to look up your records and know what your blood type is and your allergies and so on and so forth. Plenty of discussions surrounding sublins and focusing on preventative measures to keep people healthy, incorporating good habits of exercise, eating, nutrition, regular checkups and such. The overall idea is that we will save if we keep our population healthy. So population health is a big term that was tossed around quite a bit, and it's a term we'll hear of from time to time as we move forward. The concept of sublins is to organize. This makes perfect sense, but mobilizing these partners as frontline components is easier said than done, as we can appreciate that everyone on the front line is overworked as it is now. On Saturday, June 3rd, my wife and I attended the second annual Celebrating Youth Awards event at the Stocky Center. We were in the nosebleed section. Congratulations to all of our youth that were involved, those certainly who were nominated and those who won their awards and their families. Very encouraging, as Councillor Borneman just said, to see the spirit and dedication and the ambition and vision in our youth, certainly our future. Yesterday, June 5th, I met with, along with Councillor Keith and Rob Mims, regarding the town of Parry Sound scholarship, their civic scholarship program. We will be announcing this year's recipient at the next regular council meeting on June 20th. And I have a little public service announcement on Wednesday of next week, June 14th. There's going to be a special event taking place at Mary Jo's Hairstyling on Bow Street. There are 6 individuals in town who will have their very long hair cut for cancer victims. Pastor Len Van Dyke, Dr. Bill Smythe, 3 of his sons, Ray, Ryan, and Rudy, Darcy Weeks, and I'm hearing that there are even more, will become just a little lighter once they meet up with the shears. The public is invited to drop in. Ryan, of course, moving on from Saturday night, won in his category, the age 13 to 14, at the Youth Awards at the Stockey Center. Brother Ray was also nominated in the age group. So well done, and that is going to be, of course, a week from tomorrow in the afternoon at Mary Jo's. So come on out and cheer on your favorite hairstylist and those being affected with the shears. I want to give a little shout out to 5-year-old Nicholas McCanns, who had some very long hair cut this week and has been donated to some very fortunate young cancer victim. So, congratulations, Nikki. And that is my report.
Good, thank you. Councillor Horn?
Thank you. Tough to follow that one up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming this evening. For the council meetings in May, my work called me away out of town. So I was unable to attend the meetings on May 2nd and 16th, but I did go to all my other meetings. So even though I wasn't here, I did attend a number of meetings. So I'm just going to quickly go through them so you actually know that I am representing council at these meetings. So on April 24th, I attended a Bobby Orr Hall of Fame meeting. April 24th, a planning board meeting that evening. On April 28th, I attended the District of Parry Sound Municipal Association meeting with Councillor Marshall and McCann, and I'm sure they've already talked about that previously. On May 8th, I attended the Chamber of Commerce meeting. May 23rd, another Bobby Orr Hall of Fame meeting. And it was my pleasure on May 25th to welcome to town the Honorable Minister of Community and Social Services, Dr. Helena Jazik. And I wore 2 hats that day, one for community living and one as deputy mayor, and welcomed her to our community. She was visiting Community Living Parry Sound to find out more about some of our innovative projects that we're doing for employment, housing, and of course, cultivating a community through our work in community gardens. So it was wonderful to have her here in Parry Sound for a couple of hours. Even though it did pour rain on her, she did enjoy her visit here. On May 29th, I attended the planning board meeting. May 30th, I attended the special STRAP plan meeting for council. And on June 3rd, which has been mentioned, the Bobby Orr Hall of Fame youth celebration was fantastic. We had over 300 people attend, and the 12 recipients, male and females, were absolutely outstanding in their categories. And as Councillor Borneman said, that they were all well deserving of their awards. And again, a special thank you to Dave Garrigan and his committee, Cheryl Ward, and of course, Mr. Bobby Orr, who came for the celebration. So thank you very much to the town of Parry Sound, surrounding areas, for making that a wonderful event. And on a personal note, just a shout out to my lovely wife Heidi, who competed in the East Ontario Regionals for agility in our 4-year-old Border Collie Scratch 22-inch division, finished 2nd in Ontario. So, which is fantastic. Excellent. So, thank you. And that's my report.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Councillor Keith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, councillors, the public, and staff, of course. My meetings. May 25th, I attended the provincial offenses meeting. Basically, things are going along well there. Fines are being collected definitely very efficiently in our area, and actually ahead of in other areas within the province, although the number of fines in the last quarter were down. May 29th, I took advantage of the free CPR training and AED training that was offered by the health center in the town of Parry Sound, and the EMS employees were all there, or some of them, excuse me, were there instructing how to help in dire situations, to try to at least save somebody's life. So I really appreciated the turnout. There was about well, there was over 30 people there that also attended, and I think that was really great that the town and the health center and trainers come out to show people, because you just never know when that'll be needed. So I say thank you very much. I also attended an elder abuse seminar at St. James Center recently, as I do feel that's really important for us to be aware of some of the signs in that, because we live in a community where there are a fair number of seniors in our community. I attended the planning board meeting. There were 6 consents granted and 1 deferral, which had to do with the Habitat for Humanity. I attended the May 30th special council meeting, and the last one, Councillor McCann mentioned a few minutes ago, where I attended with Rob Menz when we were looking at the awarding of the bursary, which I'm sure we'll hear more about later this month. So thank you.
Good, thank you. Council staff and public, May 18th was the Community Living's Breakfast with the Mayor event, which was held at Wellington's. Wonderful sold-out event with for a great organization. Community Living staff do a remarkable job in integrating people that they support in our community. And I have to commend the staff and the Board of Directors of Community Living for all of their efforts. And Councillor Horn did a great job emceeing the event as usual. So no, it was a wonderful event, and certainly a thank you to Wellington's for donating the food and accommodations there. So May 24th, I brought greetings from council to those in attendance at the Canbic conference, which was held here at the Stocky Center. Every 2 years, we have scientists from all over the world gather here in Parry Sound on the shores of Georgian Bay to discuss their findings and their theories, and it's just such an honor to have so many minds like that here in Parry Sound, you know, for this event, because they do go back and they have a wonderful time while they're here, and they go back and certainly promote our area and the good time that they had here in Parry Sound, along with the work that they do while they're here. So a great event. May 25th, I attended the AMO executive meeting in Toronto, of which the Minister of Labour was on a video conference call during that meeting. I'd like to thank Councillor Horn for looking after the minister while she was here. And May 26th was the Chili Cook-Off fundraiser for Parry Sound Sexual Assault Services. I was one of the judges, along with Norm Miller and Mr. Cousins from the high school, and our fire department, paramedics, and the OPP all made the chili and desserts. And they played a video while we were sampling the food, and it looked like everyone had a really great time, although handicapped by some particular thing. I think, Chief, you had to wear oven mitts and use plastic forks or something like that? Or plastic utensils, you couldn't use real?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it was a very difficult competition. I'm trying to forget about the whole thing, actually.
But it was good, and the money went to the sexual assault services, and it was good. Apparently, they achieved their goal, so that was what counted. May 28th was the 295 Air Cadets Awards Night, and I'd like to thank the Air Cadets for their volunteer work that they do in our community. May 29th, I attended the information meeting at the West Parry Sound Health Center, and Councillor McCann discussed that. May 30th was council met for a special priority setting meeting. June 2nd, I attended the Kinsman District Conference Luncheon, which was held at the Curling Club, and brought greetings from council, and certainly thank you to the local Kinsman for hosting the district event. June 3rd was the Peace Project at St. James Community Church, and then in the evening there was the Bobby Orr Hall of Fame Youth Awards. Wonderful event that I would like to commend all the nominees for their efforts and congratulate the winners. I'd also like to thank Mr. Orr for having this event, and I'm so pleased that our youth can be recognized for their contributions, efforts, and successes. And I think what we saw here at the early beginning of the meeting with the success of the Stingers basketball team, great group of kids, doing something and being productive. So wonderful. I'd also like to thank the Stocky Center staff and the volunteers who helped with the event, and our Councillor Horn and Councillor Borneman were there to help volunteer during that event. So thank you. And I have a news release to read. Explorer's Edge will test the viability of running a permanent seasonal satellite office in Parry Sound to improve tourism stakeholder outreach, announced Executive Director James Murphy today. The idea of having a greater sub-regional presence has been discussed by the RTO 12 Board of Directors many times, and this is a first step towards determining if our regularly working in the Greater Parry Sound area can improve communication and collaboration with stakeholders. We have a staff member present in the office throughout the summer and fall to hopefully improve our performance there, said Murphy. Explorer's Edge staff will take turns rotating in the town office throughout the week to ensure someone from RTO 12 is in Parry Sound for at least a few hours daily. Murphy says the board of directors has determined the office will not run in the winter months. If this program is successful this year, we will perhaps look at opportunities to do similar sub-regional outreach down the road in other parts of our catchment area, said Murphy. On behalf of Council, I'd like to thank Explorer's Edge Board of Directors and James Murphy, Executive Director, for their commitment to pilot an Explorer's Edge satellite office at the Town of Parry Sound Municipal Office. Explorer's Edge has been very helpful and supportive of the town's strategic initiatives to promote tourism in our community, and that's a quote from me. Office hours for Explorer's Edge satellite office will not be regular due to the nature of how much traveling the RTO staff already do, said Murphy, but staff will attempt to be in Parry Sound from Tuesday through Thursday from now until Thanksgiving. So that is great news. Yeah. All right, on with the agenda. This came forward from closed, item 7.1, moved by, Councillor Keith. Moved by Councillor Marshall, second by Councillor Horn, that Council support application 001-2017, notice of appeal, and overturns the issuer of license notice of refusal. Further directs the issuer of license to issue the applicant a 6-month probation taxi driver license with the following condition. The applicant is not to be dispatched to his ex-wife residence, whether it is a call from her or a visitor, or to any taxi trip call that she requests via Parry Sound Taxi Dispatch, and that if the town becomes aware of any violation of his probation conditions set herein, the license will be revoked immediately, and that the owners of Parry Sound Taxi sign a responsibility agreement. Discussion? All in favor? And that's carried. Another item from closed, item 7.2, moved by Councillor McCann, second by Councillor Borneman, that the performance review dated June 6, 2017 for Dave Thompson, Director of Emergency and Protective Services, be accepted. All in favor? And that's carried. Now, oh yes, that's right. Moved by Councillor Borneman, second by Councillor Marshall, that bylaw number 2017-6747 being a bylaw to appoint a tax collector, Rob Beaumont, and delegate tax collection powers and responsibilities. All in favor? That's carried. All members in favor of having the second and third readings? Carried. Moved by Councillor Marshall, second by Councillor Borneman, that the bylaw above mentioned be considered as read a second and third time. Passed, signed, and sealed. Discussion? Councillor Keith?
Yes, I'm wondering, Mr. Pinn could just explain a little further what would be happening here, please.
Mr. Pinn?
Through your worship, Under the Municipal Act, the tax collector is technically the treasurer. What this is doing is delegating my authority under the Municipal Act for tax sales and other tax collection responsibilities to Mr. Beaumont, who is currently the town's revenue and taxation supervisor and does most of the legwork on those matters anyway.
Thank you. Anything further? All in favor? That's carried. There for finish the rest of it later. Yeah, we have to. This is the consent one. Yeah. Item 8.1, moved by Councillor Marshall, seconded by Councillor Borneman. The Council for the Town of Parry Sound supports the letter from Cheryl Gallant, Member of Parliament for Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke, and the resolution from East Ferris attached to Schedule A and B, which are against the removal of the tax-exempt portion of remuneration paid to local officials as stipulated in the 2017 federal budget. And further, that copies of this resolution be forwarded to the Premier of Ontario, Kathleen Wynne, local MP Tony Clement, local MPP Norm Miller, and the West Parry Sound area municipalities. And this also should go to the federal ministry responsible for this, because this is a federal initiative. So I'm not sure who that is. Yeah, I don't know. Would it be the, yeah, because it came through in the budget, didn't it? So, Mr. Pinn?
Through your worship, Ministry of Finance would possibly as well, I believe there's a separate minister for Canada Revenue Agency because it's Income Tax Act. That could also be.
So we'll put in here the Minister of Finance. I guess federal. And which ministry is it responsible for CRA? Finance? Yep. Yep.
It's the Honorable Diane Laboutier. It's the Ministry of National Revenue.
How do you spell the last name?
Lebeuthiiller.
And it's the Ministry of...
Minister of National Revenue.
We have a mover and seconder for that addition. Councillor Horn and Councillor McCann. Discussion on adding those to the resolution? No? All in favor? Carried. So, do we need to read this again, or are we good with this the way that it is? Okay. All in favor of the resolution as amended? That's carried. Thank you. And make sure I initial those spots too. Okay. That's open agenda, regular, right?
Yes.
Okay, so.
We need to grab one. Sorry.
Okay. So it was originally moved by Councillor Saunier, seconded by Councillor Keith. That bylaw number 2017-6736 being a bylaw to adopt estimates of the Board of Management of the downtown Parry Sound Business Improvement Area and to strike the tax rate thereon for the year 2017. And that was carried at that time. All members were in favor of having the second and third readings, and then it was moved by Councillor Saunier, second by Councillor Keith, that the bylaw above mentioned be considered as read a second and third time passed, signed, and sealed. And this had been postponed, so it's being brought forward again for tonight. So any discussion on this? Councillor Keith.
Yes, thank you. At the last council meeting and regarding this matter, I remember asking some questions about the budget, and it had specifically had to do with the budget of DBA as to the allocations, if we could transfer the $3,000 that had to do with the shuttle bus. It said for cruise ship, and it was under promotions of 3,000. And at that point, I recall asking Ms. Middaugh if it was possible that there would be funding elsewhere. And I'm wondering if Ms. Middaugh, at that point, there was going to be a meeting later the month, could explain and kind of clarify about if there was going to be some funding elsewhere rather than the $3,000 as presented here. Maybe she could clarify that today.
Ms. Vidal?
Through Mr. Mayor, through the town, we made application, if you will, to Explorers Edge for a partnership program fund that they have. And the Explorers Edge board met on May the 30th. And I do understand in conversations with the executive director that they have approved our application. So the funding for the shuttle bus service, it is a shuttle bus and not taxi service, will come from Explorers Edge and the town.
Yes?
After hearing that, what I would be asking is, so it won't change the levy amount of $67,000. I'm just asking that that $3,000 that is under the shuttle bus for cruise ship promotions just be moved down to, there's a category of other in that same section. So we'd put 3,250 there, and that will leave the total promotions the same. It's just a jiggle of the numbers, and I think by doing that, then anybody who's looking at the budget later on that line will be removed, so it'll be clear that the DBA wasn't allocating that amount of money for the cruise ship, because we already have the understanding of what is to occur. So I'm moving that we have an amendment just of that figure, just move it down to a different spot.
We have a seconder? Councillor Borneman? Okay, discussion on the amendment. Councillor Borneman?
I think that was always the TBA's intent, that it would be reallocated. The board hasn't met since it became aware of Explorers Edge's contributions to determine exactly how that money will be spent, but it will be reallocated as Councillor Keith suggests.
Okay, Councillor Keith?
Well, I'm just not clear. Does that mean then if that is approved tonight, then when somebody looks at that budget later on, they will see it in a different spot than where it is right now? That's what I'd like to have clarified, please, if approved.
As I say, I'm agreeing with you that it will be moved, but I can't tell you tonight. I'm not dictator yet, or king. I can't tell you exactly 1,000% how the money, exactly which line item it would be used in.
Councillor Keith?
Well, perhaps Mr. Pinn can verify for me, but I thought council did have that authority just to move a figure. Maybe not to change the amount, just to move. Maybe he could clarify that, please.
Mr. Pinn?
Through your worship, council, that's correct, Councillor Keith. Council does have the authority to make changes to the budget as long as it does not add anything to the expenditures. It does not have to go back to the DBA board. That can be made tonight by council.
Okay. Then Councillor Borneman.
I'm just trying to be honest that, it'll be moved tonight. How the board determines what the best use of that money is, we haven't determined here, and nor have they at this point, like exactly where it'll be spent.
Okay. So are we looking for where that is going to go, Councillor Keith? Is that what you're?
All I'm asking is the $3,000 be moved down to the line where it says other. That will still allow the DBA flexibility, but it at the same time will allow council tonight to take out the line that says shuttle bus for cruise ship. It will not change the total amount of promotions, and it seems to me it's quite possible for council to support that and still approve the levy if council so deems.
Okay, so the amendment then is to move the 3,000 from the shuttle bus to the line that says other. Okay. Any further discussion on that? All in favor of that? That's carried. Okay. Any further discussion on the bylaw as amended? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. You got that? Okay, I'm just gonna throw it up there with the other stuff. Okay. Item 921, moved by Councillor Borneman, seconded by Councillor McCann, that council approve the revised organization chart for the Department of Development and Leisure Services per Schedule A attached, and that resolution number 2013-2007 be revoked. Discussion? Councillor Borneman?
I'm just wondering if Ms. Middock can give us an explanation, or give the public an explanation what we're doing here.
Ms. Middaugh?
Through Mr. Mayor, as part of the 2017 budget process, council approved budget to hire and create a full-time permanent community recreation program coordinator. Starting, I think, in August 2016, Brad Weiler started work with us as an intern, an NOHFC intern in that capacity. He has done quite a remarkable job delivering a number of programs, active programs to our diverse population, children, youth, adults, and senior adults. He's built networks in the community and relationships. So further to direction of council, from council, this basically revises the department's organizational chart to include the position and Mr. Weiler in that position. And the position is scheduled to commence at the conclusion of his NOHFC contract, which is August 23rd or thereabouts.
Very good, thank you. Anything further? All in favor? That's carried. Okay. Moved by Councillor Horn, second by Councillor Keith. The council approved the 2017 Municipal Assistance Program allocations per Schedule A attached. So I guess I'll go ahead and read these. Okay. Parry Sound Area CB and DC, $1,585. Parry Sound Area Chamber, $1,705. Parry Sound Downtown Business Association, 2017. Business Center, Nipissing Parry Sound Incorporated, $1,072. And that was for the economic development portion of that, for a total of $6,379. The next is the Parry Sound Municipal Assistance Program nonprofit allocation. 295 McPherson Squadron, $1,115. Artists Around the Sound, $765. International Festival of Authors, $519. Festival of the Sound, $925. Parry Sound EMS Staff Fund, $648. Parry Sound Saltos Gymnastic Club, $1,142, for a total of $5,114, and there's $500 $1,211 remaining. Let's see. Discussion? All in favor? Oh, Councilor McCann.
I wonder if we could get Ms. McNamara in her very lovely and cheerful delivery to tell us just a bit about what the MAP program is all about. And it's a great opportunity for various organizations in town to get some assistance in how they may be able to touch base with the next time around when the monies are being handed out.
Ms. McNamara?
If I may, through you, Mr. Mayor, the Municipal Assistance Program is Council's annual grant program that is, of course, budget conditional annually. So once budget's approved every year, the program is released with an established deadline date. There are two different streams of applications, one being the not-for-profit sector, the other being the economic development sector.
Thank you very much.
Councilor Horn?
Thank you. According to the figures that were just read out, there is $500 remaining in the nonprofit section of the fund. So in terms of moving forward, can any nonprofit now apply for that funding?
The program has closed for this year, but if applications are moving forward, there is $500 left in the nonprofit sector, so I would bring that forward to council for consideration.
Councilor McCann?
Just a follow-up to that, April, and I was just asking you before the meeting tonight this is for if you have charitable status or if you are church funded or based, this would not be available to you. This is for groups that would normally have a hard time raising funds, so this gives them a bit of an advantage.
If I may, through you, Mr. Mayor, that is correct. There are program eligibility and criteria. One of that for not-for-profit is those ineligible are those of charitable status, so those with registered charitable ID members, as well as those of religious nature, and anybody else receiving financial benefit through the town Parry.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything further? All in favor? And that's carried. Oops. Item 923, moved by Councillor Keith, seconded by Councillor Horn, that staff is directed and authorized to arrange for a non-cash donation to Sail Parry Sound in the amount of $150 according to Schedule A attached. Discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Moved by Councillor Horn and seconded by Councillor Keith that pursuant to Section 3.4 of the sign bylaw, the chief building official is authorized to issue a permit for a sign on the building at 30 Wabano Road pursuant to the following conditions and variances. A, the permit will be valid until the sign is removed. B, if the sign is removed, a new permit shall be obtained before a new sign is installed. C, the town reserves the right to revoke a permit related to this resolution and remove the sign if it finds it necessary to use the lands or building appurtenant to the sign for municipal purposes. And D, a sign authorized by this resolution shall be substantially in the form shown in the application. E, the sign may project above the roof of the building. And F, all other regulations in the sign bylaw continue to apply except for those revised by this resolution. Discussion? All in favor? Carried. Okay, item 941, moved by Councillor Keith, second by Councillor Horn, that a water service be installed to the Booth Street Community Park to be funded from the Parks Reserve. Discussion? Councillor Horn?
Just a question for Mr. Brown. This is part of the community garden. There's a number of nonprofit agencies with a partnership with the town to establish a community garden at this location, and so hence the need for the water, correct?
Through your worship, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Keith?
I appreciate the need, and I think it's really important, but on the other side of the coin, I just kind of wonder if it wouldn't be more prudent to have, if it's examined, like right now, it seems to me we have no idea what the cost would be. We know what's in the reserve. We know according to the report that they're talking 10,000 plus or whatever, but I'm just feeling a little uncomfortable in that we have no idea at all, like there isn't even a rough estimate. I mean, we know what's in the reserve of 150,000, but I just kind of wonder, would we want to spend, if that's what it costs, 150,000, would we want to spend it for that? I don't know.
Mr. Brown?
Through your worship, one of the reasons why we couldn't provide a, shall we say, a decent estimate, because the water mains in that area are very deep in the ground. So we'd have to basically lose a road, either one of the three roads that we're going to take the water from. So it's difficult to provide a close estimate to it. Having said that, my guesstimate, shall we say, is between $10,000 and $15,000. We'll do our best to make this as low as we can. It's a very difficult thing to estimate because of the depth of the water mains.
Well, I guess I just need a little bit more reassurance. I don't have a problem with a guesstimate, but I guess where I'm going is, if it turned out that the more you got digging, the more you recognize that this was going to be a serious cost, would you be coming back then to council? Like, if we're getting close to 150, would you be coming back to council for that? Because it just seems to me, community garden, it just is way off. I need to feel a little more comfortable.
Mr. Brown?
Through your worship, I can assure you that the water main isn't that deep. I'm confident that it'll be within the $10,000 to $15,000 range. It won't be any higher to the point where it's going to be close to 150,000 for the Parks Reserve. But it will be at least 10, hopefully less than $15,000.
Thank you.
Okay, anything further? Oh, Councillor Horn.
Yes, just in terms of the area and the partnership with the many organizations, the garden has already been established and the growing season has begun, and it provides a worthwhile opportunity for the town to be a partner. And when the land was established at that site, one of the issues brought forth was providing water. And as everybody knows, community gardens are a worthwhile endeavor. And I'd just like to see the town continue that partnership at this particular location.
Thank you. Anything further? Seeing none, all in favor? And that's carried. I need a mover and seconder for the direction. Councillor Marshall, Councillor Borneman. That the Director of Public Works be directed to bring forward a report and recommendation for the July 4th, 2017 council meeting regarding train whistle cessation. Discussion? Councillor Borneman, then Councillor Marshall.
Mr. Brown, is that feasible with your busy work schedule, or is more time than that required?
Contrary to what I just heard, Your Worship, I can probably squeeze it in between 3 and 4 in the mornings. There is time that I could get this done. It is a process. It will take a fair length of time and a series of approvals, but the report should be ready for July the 6th, 4th. It'll be the first time.
Councillor Marshall? Oh, did he? Okay, all right. Yeah, Councillor Horn.
This has been achieved in other communities, Mr. Brown?
Through your worship, to my knowledge, yes. But as I say, it does take time.
It was brought to my attention that it was achievable, and as long as CP gets their act together and gets that one crossing done, then we will have all of the crossings done in Parry Sound with drop arms and barriers. So I think it's worth a shot. We've had many people for years ask if we could do this, and hopefully we're almost at that point where this could possibly happen, so it's worth a try. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. I need another mover and seconder for the next direction. Councillor Keith and Councillor McCann. The Director of Finance be directed to bring forward to the September 5th, 2017 council meeting, pending release of regulations, a report and recommendation regarding a potential hotel tax. Discussion. Councillor Horn?
So in terms of a revenue stream, I mean, the town is pretty limited other than taxes, permit fees. This is another opportunity which large cities have done is a hotel tax, correct, Mr. Pinn?
Mr. Pinn?
Through your worship, this is a new tax that nobody actually had prior. The destination marketing fee is similar, but is not a hotel tax because there are ways around it. The hotel tax is new and was released with the recent budget. The regulations are not out yet, so that's why the report date's a little bit further ahead.
Yeah. There are some communities that, just to clarify, have done, like in Niagara Falls, like a tourism tax. And that's not only on accommodations, that's on every business or whatever. This particular one is being looked at by the provincial government as a tool for municipalities to achieve some revenue. And I know we're always looking for revenue for marketing and various things like that. So we just have to see how this is going to fit and whether it comes through. Mr. Pinn and then Councillor Keith.
Through your worship, the one of the cruxes with this from the province is that 50% of the hotel tax would be given to the regional tourism organization. So that is and again, this is different from the Niagara Falls example with the fact that this is a mandatory tax similar to the property tax.
Yeah. Councillor Keith?
Yes, just for clarification, I'm just wondering, Mr. Pinn, has there been any studies, whether it's with the Chamber of Commerce or any of accommodation committees in respect to this?
Mr. Pinn?
Through your worship, the short answer is no, because up until about a month ago, this was not legal in Ontario, so there was no looking into it yet.
I guess just to follow that up, then if you were looking into a report, and of course it goes back to the statement that the mayor made a few minutes ago, I know in Niagara Falls, and I realize it's not the same thing, but I know from staying there more than once, it seemed to me that may be poor communication, but it's not uncommon for clerks of hotels to tell you that it was whatever, a hotel tax. So the only reason I'm bringing that up is the bottom line being, I'd just like to know what impact that has on tourism, if there's some way you can get some figures along that line, because I know when I've been with a group of people that have been at Niagara Falls and they're finding out that they're paying these extra taxes, not everybody's real happy, so we're in a tourist area, so I'm wondering if you'll be gathering some information as to how tourists handle when they're taxed again extra.
Mr. Pinn?
Through your worship, I I doubt this report that would be handled with that. The intent of this report would be to come back to council with the process options once we find out from the province what the ability is. One of the things recently with the vacancy rebate was that the province gave us the broad powers, but then required certain steps. So what this report would be to come to council, getting further direction once we know what those steps are and what the limits, if any, may be. Again, I have spoken with the ministry. They're still working on everything, so we don't know if there would be a limit or if there's a minimum or any of the process yet. So this is just kind of to give council information to make a decision on if it's something to proceed further.
Councilor Marshall?
And just a question for Mr. Pinn. Would it be possible in the report, maybe to, I don't know where you get the information from, maybe the Chamber of Commerce or whatever, to do some type of revenue projections of what we could actually realize with a tax like that? Because, you know, we can go through a lot of stuff and there's not a lot of tax in the end. It might be, you know, not worth it, may hit a dead end. But if this seems like there could be a decent revenue stream out of it, something we could certainly pursue further.
Yeah. Mr. Pinn?
Through your worship, a broad analysis will be done, of course, once the regulation, again, we're really early in the infancy with this, and there's various, you know, 1% could be this, 1.1 could be 15, you know, $150,000 more. So there's a sensitivity which can be looked at as well in the in this report.
Anything further? All in favor? That's carried. Moved by Councillor Keith, second by Councillor Horn, that bylaw number 2017-6744, being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and deputy clerk/CAO to execute an agreement with Four Sports Incorporated for the purpose of pro shop operation at the Bobby Orr Community Center for a one-year period. Considered as read a first time. All in favor? That's carried. All members in favor of having the second and third readings? Carried. By Councillor Keith, second by Councillor Horn, that the bylaw above mentioned be considered as read a second and third time, passed, signed, and sealed. Any discussion? All in favor? Oh, sorry. Okay. Yep. Councillor Keith.
Sorry. Just one query. I was just wondering for the rental fee, no, for the year, it's roughly 1,600. And I'm wondering, how was that in sync with any other arena that might have some sort of pro shop? How does that?
If I may, through your
McNamara.
worship. This actually, what's in front of you, came forth through a request for proposals. The former lessee of the pro shop and snack bar decided he was not going to lease the snack bar any further. So we released a request for proposal for the space. There was one proposal received, and that is what is in front of you this evening, and that is what the lessee was prepared to pay for the space.
Councillor Keith?
Yes, so just for clarification then, I appreciate that we have a proposal, so basically you wouldn't have an idea as to how in sync that is for any other community.
If I may, through you,
Ms.
Mr. Mayor, I have
Yep.
not done research into pro shop rental rates.
Okay. Anything further on this? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Okay. Yeah. Moved by Councillor Horn, second by Councillor Keith, that bylaw number 2017-6745, being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute a service contract with Cameron Marshall for the provision of on-call municipal law enforcement services, be considered as read a first time. All in favor? It's carried. All members in favor of having the second and third readings? It's carried. Moved by Councillor Horn, seconded by Councillor Keith, the bylaw above mentioned be considered as read a second and third time, passed, signed, and sealed. Discussion? All in favor? It's carried. Okay. Item 10.3.2, moved by Councillor Horn, seconded by Councillor Keith, that bylaw number 2017-6746 being a bylaw to appoint Chris Everett, Earl Smallwood, Tom Evans, Cameron Marshall as municipal law enforcement officers be considered as read a first time. All in favor? That's carried. All members in favor of having the second and third readings? That's carried. Moved by Councillor Horn, seconded by Councillor Keith, that the bylaw above mentioned be considered as read a second and third time, passed, signed, and sealed. Discussion? I think maybe Chief Thompson, could you just give a synopsis of what we're doing here so that the public understands that these are not full-time people, but they're on-call people? Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. This is part of the program of sharing bylaw enforcement resources with Seguin and McDougall. They run a on-call service, and we've become partners in that program so that we can have officers to attend to nighttime, for the vast majority of the instances, nighttime emergency bylaw callouts. And so this is just appointing those individuals as bylaw enforcement officers.
Wonderful. Thank you. Any further discussion? No? All in favor? That's carried. Thought it was good to clarify that. Okay. Come back for the good one, Councilor Marshall. You come back for the good one. Okay. Yeah, moved by Councillor Keith, seconded by Councillor Horn, that bylaw number 2017-6748, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council, be considered as read a first time. All in favor? All members in favor of having the second and third readings? Carried. Moved by Councillor Keith, seconded by Councillor Horn. The bylaw above mentioned be considered as read a second and third time, passed, signed, and sealed. All in favor? That's carried. So, prior to adjourning, I'd like to offer the following information to the public regarding the next council meeting. The next regular meeting of council for the town of Parry Sound is scheduled to take place at 52 Seguin Street in the council chambers located on the top floor. Public access to the building is off Gibson Street. The next regular meeting of council is Tuesday, June 20th, 2017 at 7 p.m. All regular council meetings will be held at 7 p.m. on the first and third Tuesday of each month, except January and August, where only one regular meeting will be held for each of those months. Agendas, changes to the council meeting schedule, and notices of special council meetings will be posted on the town's website at www.parrysound.ca prior to a council meeting. The public is available to view an electronic copy of the complete agenda with attachments on the town's website. Just search council calendar and the date of the meeting. Should you wish to receive a combined agenda via email, you may make that request on our website or contact the clerk at the municipal office. The minutes of the council meetings will be posted within 2 days after the council meeting on the town's website and will be posted on the bulletin board located in the municipal office entrance. All regular and special council meetings are now live streamed. Please check news and public notices on our website, www.parrysound.ca, for instructions. Cogeco will air the regular Parry Sound Council meeting on Saturday at 9:30, following a regular council meeting. Should you have any inquiries regarding scheduling and times for viewing the council meeting, please visit www.cogecotv.com under scheduling. So thank you, everyone, and have a good night.